As a kid, my favourite story was Sweet and Sour Hippo. It's about a hippopotamus named Boo-hoo. And while he's focusing on himself, he's this miserable motherfucker. And the monkey and the giraffe, they come on over, they try and cheer him up, but they just can't pull him out of that funk. But then he sees this crocodile sneaking up on an antelope that's having a swim. And Boo-hoo leaps into action. He runs down to the side of the river and he beats the living fuck out of this croc. And obviously, the message of the story is that while we focus on ourselves, we become miserable. Whereas if we focus on other people and wanting to help them with their problems, we become like superheroes or some shit. 13 years ago, I crashed my motorbike. 8 years ago, I tried to kill myself. I'm Big Tim Stiles. I'm a public servant. I'm an actor. I'm a comic book creator. And I suffer from depression, chronic pain, and PTSD. I've been a comic book nerd since I was 13 years old. I remember in the summer of 1989 spending the Christmas vacation with my grandparents in Wollongong. Now, my brother and I, we went to the corner shop to spend our pocket money, and it was the first time we actually saw a comic book rack just full of superhero comics. I walked away with Captain America number 365 and Silver Surfer number 34. My life changed that day. I've been a superhero fan ever since. And as life goes on, comic books and superheroes are there every step of the way. 13 years ago, I was riding my motorbike home on a Sunday afternoon, and the sump plug came out of my bike. I slipped on my own oil, and I remember trying to correct it as the back end was sliding out. And then the whole world just spinning as I went over the handlebars and rolled on the road. I jumped to my feet to get off the road as quick as I could. I knew that there was traffic behind me, and I didn't want to get hurt any more than I already was. And that's when I realized my right shoe was missing. I don't know why I remember that detail. I tried to take my helmet off, but I couldn't. A man came over, he was driving behind me in one of the cars, and I told him to help me get my helmet off. I don't know why my hands wouldn't do what I was mentally telling them to do. So this man helped me take my helmet off. I remember looking down at my arm to try and figure out why my hands weren't doing what I wanted them to do, and thinking that my arm must have slipped out of my jacket and I must be looking at an empty sleeve. But then I noticed my fingers at the bottom of the sleeve were moving. I couldn't put it together why the fingers were moving but my arm wouldn't. It got too much in all the confusion, and that was the first time I passed out. I woke up on the side of the road and there was a woman looking down on me. She told me she was a nurse and asked if she could call anyone.
Can I call someone?
I told her to ring Kelda. I was in a play at the time and we were opening in 3 weeks, and I didn't want to let her down. It's funny, I didn't think to call any of my family or friends. I just needed to let Kelda know. I passed out again and woke up, and there was a paramedic looking down on me, and he told me he has to cut off my shirt so he can get to my arm. And I remember just saying, "Don't cut my shirt, this is my favorite shirt." And then I passed out again. I kept waking up and passing out over the next few hours. I woke up in the ambulance where they were giving me painkillers. I woke up going through the x-ray machine. I woke up in the hospital bed. My right humerus had been shattered into 8 or 10 pieces. And every time I tell someone that, they say, "Well, that's not very humorous." It doesn't get old. After the surgery, the doctor said that I would always be in pain for the rest of my life. I think dealing with that chronic pain is where the depression crept in, but at the time I pretty much didn't notice it because of that constant static of pain. I call the pain static because back in the 80s and 90s, before you had 24-hour programming on TV, when the programming was done for the day, there would just be this static, this, and that's how I measure my pain. It's like there's a constant in the background, and that's my base level. And it gets worse at times, but there's always that constant static. 5 years later, on the darkest day of my life, I tried to kill myself, but that's a story for another time. 8 minutes. They say that 8 minutes is all the time you need to pull someone out of that dark, suicidal place. If you can talk to someone for 8 minutes when they're spiraling like that, that's enough to save their life. And I know that not everyone has someone who can spend those critical 8 minutes with them to distract them from that darkness. My point is that that's why I write comic books. I've always had Captain America or Hellboy or the Ninja Turtles to help me through tough times, to stop me from spiraling, to distract me, just to make me happy. I write comic books with the hope that they help someone out there who's doing it tough. I hope that when someone has nowhere to go for those 8 minutes, that they can get lost and immerse themselves in a new universe. I have my good days and my bad days. I have my bright days and my dark days. And I think it's inevitable that my life will end in that darkness. But in the meantime, I hope that my comics help someone in the way that comic books and superheroes have helped me.